Welcome again to It Doesn't Take a Genius, conversation with introspective perspectives and pithy points of view. Here are your hosts, my friends, Max and Marty.
I think that's Mark and Mike.
Yeah, whatever.
That was a long pause. Yeah.
That's the most awkward eye contact I've ever made with you. Like,
that was weird. Yeah.
solid 10 seconds of us wondering if we were recording or not. Okay, anyway.
Yes. All right, wait a minute. Ramsey!
It's not gonna help me. Hey, hi Mike. Great to see you again for our series on logical fallacies.
That seemed natural.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was, yeah. I think, this goes to our authenticity.
Yeah, oh, it does.
Yeah, it's not good.
I'll put in some of those edit noises that I found for that other episode where we kept screwing up.
Oh, yeah. Beep.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we're working on common fallacies. And I thought the first list, all right, if you've listened to the previous podcast, was pretty darn impressive. If you're thinking, could there possibly be any more?
Yeah.
And lo and behold, yes. There's a bunch more.
It covers a lot of ground. And so this episode, we're going to talk about propaganda, the things that sort of take our fears and our stir our emotions to a rough place, and again there's some overlap, and we're not going to cover where there's overlap to the previous episode and so on, but these are things that people might use in their story that they tell themselves. You might use it in the story you tell yourself, dear listener, and you might be listening for it in a crucial conversation from the other person. So it's just things that we can name and be able to address and say, wait a minute, that's not true. It can't work because it logically does not hold water. Mm-hmm. So appeal to fear is the first one.
Appeal to fear. I like that. Yes.
Yeah. Who doesn't like that, right? And the way I've heard it in a manager's meeting is, hey, we can't do this ad campaign. It's going to be bad for business. People could take this the wrong way and sue. Now, there may be reasons to not do this marketing campaign, but a couple people suing isn't necessarily saying that it's a bad marketing campaign. Those two things don't go together. And we've often talked about legal departments being the anti-sales department, right? If they take over and say, oh, no, we can't do this, and this. I once had a client that went from being able to advertise that they had a $10 million endowment for their nonprofit. They took it down to, I think we ended up going with 500,000 because they were worried about how it would look if so-and-so found out that such and such had happened. Oh, it would just be a scandal. And but the reality was 10 million was what was going to, actually I had NPR on the phone. I was literally talking to the reporter on air from NPR, and we missed the boat because I had to drop it down to say, well, actually, we're only going to say it's 500,000. He said, well, I'm not interested then. So we appealed to fear in ourselves and knocked ourselves out of a lot of publicity.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When I saw this one, I thought of, I'm sitting in a meeting. We're talking about, following up with customers for salespeople. And somebody says, well, if we hire somebody to do their follow up, then the salespeople will get lazy and they won't do anything. Like, yeah, our entire team's going to turn into big slugs because we help overnight with one portion of the process. Yeah. No, come on, really. Let's talk. The next one.
All right, appeal to pity, and it's just what it says, right? You're just appealing to the subject being worthy of pity. So an example that I've seen countless times. The example I give here is we can't fire him for embezzling. He has kids to support, and he may have kids to support, but if he's embezzled, it may be time to move him on. That might be the right course of action. It doesn't have anything to do with him having kids to support. He might be fireable.
Well,
this happens a lot.
We live in the Midwest, so oftentimes it's he's not embezzling. He's just completely incapable of doing the job that we've got him, in the role of. And you'll ask, you'll say, hey, what is it that keeps him in that job? And everybody will go, yeah, he's just a nice guy.
Right.
And yeah, we do that as the Midwestern folks, right?
I'm not lying to you. I had a general manager who was so upset with an inept general manager. I mean, he was costing them money. And I just said, well, you fussed about him for 3 visits to me privately. Why is he still here? And he looked off out the window and just sort of paused. And he never looked back at me. He wouldn't look back at me. He just kept looking out the window. And he said, Mark, it changes you when you see a grown man cry. And that's why he kept that man employed there. And they eventually went out of business.
Yeah.
Appeal to pity.
Yeah. So in this case, it worked. Yeah.
Exactly.
I went with appeal to pity and I kept my job.
And it was successful.
And it worked. Yeah. Great.
And it bankrupted us.
All right. I can't even pronounce the next one.
I'm going to go with exigency. That's how I'm going to say it.
That's nice. I don't know if that's how it is pronounced, but it sounds great.
It sounded good to me. The idea of a limited time offer, that there's a time limit or a deadline. Mm-hmm. And that's the only reason that this argument is valid, right? Mm-hmm. This offer good today only. Oh, shoot, it's good today only. I don't need it, but gosh, I better take advantage of it, right? We've never seen that work in the car business. I know you've never seen that happen, but there it is.
Yeah, the FOMO, right? The fear of missing out.
Yeah,
I'm going to create an artificial deadline, or the other one, right? If we can't get it done by the end of the year, we just shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So what happens if we do it at the end of January?
Yeah, right.
Oh, nothing. Yeah, you're just making up rules just so you're just creating this fear that. With this artificial deadline looming and we can't do it, we should just stop now.
Yeah, it's hopeless.
Yeah, just give up.
I love that. Next one is repetition, and that's literally what it sounds like. We're just going to repeat an argument over and over again, even if it's illogical, in the hopes that we will believe it. And these are things we've seen in the car business. It's like we always say around here: customers from that end of town never buy from us. Mm-hmm. In coaching, we call it a limiting belief. Right. We've said it to ourselves so many times that we really think it's true. And it's just not, people from that end of town buy from us. We've got proof. We can go into our systems and look it up. We could go find out why they're not buying from us and get them to buy from us. But if we just keep saying something and say, well, it's hopeless, we're not going to go there, then that's a logical fallacy.
Oh, yeah. I remember my uncle, he worked for me, and he was probably one of the greatest salespeople I've ever met in my entire life. He could sell anything to anybody. And so we were working, we built this retail outlet, and this guy comes walking up and he ran away and just left me there. And I was like, hey, can I help you? Just doing the thing. And then when the guy left, he came running back. He's like, sorry about that. I'm like, what was that? He goes, I can't sell people who have jackets with elbow patches.
Stop. That's not true.
100% true.
Mike, you don't look, these are good enough arguments. They stand on their own. The content's good. You don't have to make up stories like that.
No,
that's awesome.
He had this psychotic fear of, guys with elbow patches. They were, I guess I don't know what he thought, right? They were too academic. They were too intellectual.
You would have hated me.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. And then it became true. Because he couldn't do it because he ran away.
Right. Right.
Like once again, there's another one that proves my case.
Yeah.
Maybe if you just stuck around and talked to him, that could have been the first one.
Maybe build a little rapport. Let's do something here.
Yeah, that's great. But he somewhere in his head, he'd come up with that, and he told himself enough times that he believed it to his core.
I love that. The next one is snob appeal. And, that's just basically arguing that there's, if you buy this product or service, you're automatically better, that you're, the buyer is better because they bought a certain product or service. So the idea of, you came up with this one, but, this is a superior watch. I'm a superior person, right? I wear a Rolex. Mm-hmm. And anybody who knows watches just a little bit might have heard that Rolex not the best timepiece out there for keeping time.
Right. Yeah. Even the Rolex people will tell you, yeah, there's other timepieces that are more accurate day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. But yeah, there's nothing else that says I've arrived, to the general public than that timepiece.
Right.
So
and it's not to say that there aren't a million reasons that you might want to buy a Rolex, right? But it's not going to make you a superior person.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like saying, I get breakfast sandwiches from Burger King because that's where Warren Buffett gets his breakfast.
Yeah, right. Nice.
Yeah, I don't think Warren Buffett looks like the paragon of health. Yeah, this may not be working for him.
Oh, that's good. All right, so that's snob appeal. We've got a couple more appeals, and we're done with the propaganda. Appeal to tradition. Arguing that that something's connection to the past makes it superior. So the example I give, which again I have literally seen with clients in the past, we use paper and pencil record keeping, just like companies in the 50s did.
Oh yeah,
better than these computers.
Yeah. Well, I think that adage, we're going with a tried and true method.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is tried and true.
Right.
Companies have been doing this for 100 years.
Right.
Yeah. How many of them will be here another 100 years?
Yeah.
That's irrelevant. Yeah.
Right. It's irrelevant. That's the point is, are we actually talking about the heart of the argument? That's what we keep having to come back to here. And if we're talking about other things, if we're talking about tradition and not talking about whether or not this is a good idea for us, then we're off the mark. That's where we're telling ourselves a story that's not necessarily true.
Oh yeah, and you've got some leaders that have banned the phrase "we've always done it this way."
Yeah.
I've got leaders who like, there's two things you can't say: it's not my job.
Yeah.
And because we've always done it that way.
Yep.
And so that second one, that appeal to tradition. All right, we can't even consider another idea.
That's a perfect way to look at it,
because we've always done it that way.
The last one's similar to all this: appeal to high tech. The something that we're talking about is superior because it's the most recent thing. It's the latest technology. It's the latest product, service, idea that's attached to this new thing. So I give a silly example here. Our marketing centers around Ding Dong. It's the latest social network, so it's good.
Oh yeah, because it's the latest.
Right.
Yeah. I had a very, he was an older, a leader, but he was up to speed on all the technology. But that, he would dismiss these instantly. I've started my, salesman come up, I've started my TikTok channel. He's like, fantastic. How many leads, how many appointments, how many sales have you got? Well, it's not about that. Well, you're a salesman. That may be the coolest, latest thing. And I'm not against it, but you need to figure out a way for it to make money.
Yeah.
Right.
What's the ROI?
Yeah. What's the return on that investment of time and energy?
Yeah.
And so, they would always, but this is where everybody's going. I don't care who's going there and being successful in our line of work with it.
Right.
Oh, I don't know anybody that's doing any of that. Yeah. Just because that's where everybody's going, and doesn't mean it's necessarily what's best for us.
Well, you can see how all of these stoke your emotions in some way. And, your emotions aren't bad, but naming what's going on can really help prevent these things from taking over and guiding your decision making. So just calling everybody to be a little more logical, take some of the emotion out of the decision making. You're never going to all the way do that. It's impossible. But making sure that, your emotions are tied to something that's real instead of something that's just appealing to a fad or appealing to a fear you have or what have you. That's the idea here.
Oh, definitely. And I think even as we talked about these and we talked about our examples, you could hear the emotion that was created by the use of these.
Totally.
Like my uncle running away, people banning this phrase,
right,
because it was so frustrating to them. So So these definitely generate a lot of emotions and emotions that aren't helpful.
I think that's really well said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So-
And again, we're going to do, I don't know, I guess we haven't fully decided, but we've got 1 or 2 more episodes of these fallacies. Keep coming back, because there's just a million ways that human beings can be wrong. And we're we're going through these ways that show up in our conversations, in our crucial conversations, where we're talking about, it's an emotionally charged conversation already. And if at the core of that, there's this error in our thinking, we need to be able to label that and move past it. So hope these are helpful to you.
Oh, definitely. And I think we should appeal to tradition.
Now that's true.
Because, when you think about all the announcers we've had, right, we've stuck with ours, all right? If we're nothing if not loyal to tradition. So take it away, Mr. Wolf.
And that, I guess, is that. It doesn't take a genius. No rights reserved, nothing trademarked, copyrighted, or even original. Feel free to give it to anyone, anytime, using any and all media formats. Warning, Mark and Mike may or may not make another one. I'm your announcer, and I did not get paid a nickel to do this. They won't even let me tell you my name. So until next time, if there is a next time, stay safe, be well.
That's good enough.